Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Devil's Advocate, Trades Edition. And joining me today is Dennis. And Dennis, you are such a fun guy. And I see you everywhere on my LinkedIn page. You have so much support. The things that you are doing inside of the community. I went and actually creeped you because I was like, I need to know what this man does. So when you said yes to coming on the podcast, I was so thankful. So thank you for being on the show with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you. It's
You're
always so
welcome. I
great
love your
to.
glasses, by the way. Those are
You
so
do?
fun.
Thank you. Like
You're
I
welcome.
have a couple of colors, but I think the red really works. And if you don't know, I have the coordination thing. It has to be like
Well, there you go.
all together.
Yeah, you got to be color coordinated. I get it.
Yes,
I
it's
get it.
something I love doing.
There you go. So tell me, what
Uh,
about the pins on the sides of your jacket? What do they mean?
Okay, so this represents the Blue Sky City. It's part of our branding for the city of Calgary,
Okay.
and this is the Moose Side campaign. And so basically, saying that I stand against violence against Indigenous women, Indigenous people, and generally violence against women. You know what? So many things happening in our country, in a place where women are the how will I say, how women are there's so much domestic violence against women, whether they're indigenous or just women. So this is a
In support
commitment
of
to
them.
say I'm in
Yeah.
support of that. That I'm going to stand. I'm going to do everything within my power, within my reach to, do everything to prevent domestic violence. And if I see something, I'm going to speak up. So yeah. So that's about my pins.
I love it. I think that's, and you know what? I think that in our world today, we need a lot more kindness and a lot more
Mm-hmm.
tolerance because
Yeah.
there's so many things going up. And you and I are both in Alberta, and we're seeing a lot of Albertans even, kind of divide in what's
Mm-hmm.
going on and what's happening with government. And it's really upsetting because I think the one thing I pride myself on about being a
Mm-hmm.
Canadian and being an Albertan is that, although Alberta is the richest, as I like to call it, the richest province,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is, for me, that just speaks volumes of opportunity. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that everybody should have an opportunity to partake in the different opportunities that Alberta has to offer. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't have as many taxes. We don't have like the provincial tax, and there's other little taxes that other provinces may have to,
Mm-hmm.
deal with, and we don't. But
Yeah.
then also, it's just I get really upset. Like, I make the joke all the time that like Alberta is like the Texas of Canada,
Yeah.
right? But I will tell you the one thing, and it's a joke I always make because sometimes it's just some of the mindsets, but I find the mindsets are changing more and more, and there are more people emerging with this profound level of knowledge and love and guidance and truth seekers that just want people to know, listen, like,
Mm-hmm.
we exist and we're in Alberta. Like, I read so many comments in different platforms that are like, oh, here we
Mm-hmm.
go, Albertans again. And I'm like, whoa, we're not all that. Do not paint us all with the same paintbrush, because
Yeah.
your work you're actually part of a community organization. I apologize, I don't remember what it's called. But I went looking into it, and you actually help with the immigration portion of it. Do you not?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's interesting because the Stampede just ended, and I find that there were lots of visitors in the city who were like, "Oh my God, we didn't know, this happened, or this is the way you get." They found us that we were very, very kind people, were
Yep.
hospitable. People were just walking on the roads trying to say, "Hey, is there any way I can help you? Are there
Mhm.
things we can do?" Well, I have lived here about 10 years, and I found that for many people who haven't come here would think about it as the wild, wild west. I think that as like you're living in Lulaland, this is a beautiful place. They're amazing people. I get to work with a couple of different organizations, maybe like the Calgary Black Chamber. I used to be on the board on the Immigrant Champions of Canada, and
That's
all we do, even with the Calgary Regional Immigration Employment Council, basically helping immigrants settle little here in Calgary, because of they come in with lots of experience, lots of education. We want to ensure that they are also productive here. They bring all of that experience to make this place more productive, more beautiful to live in. So there's lots to do. I
Mhm.
always tell people there's so much to do. Get your skills in place, get your hands in place. There's a lot of work to do. So just being able to be part of a community to make a difference, I think it's something that blesses my heart. I was talking to someone yesterday, and we said community impact is huge for me. I want to see it. I want to make a difference in the community. And what I love about this place is that lots of people would just want to create impact in the community. Want to make sure that it goes from 0 to 100. So I think we're blessed with so many of those good people.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. I
Mm,
agree. There are so many, like, there's so many Albertans out here, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an
mm-hmm,
advocate, whether you're, just a regular worker bee, whatever you're doing, there's
mm-hmm,
so many with big hearts and kind of like, I'm going to tell you something. I remember I was at the store
mm-hmm,
one day. I was at the grocery store one day, and I think I had my kids with me. I think I did. Anyway, and I was buying groceries, and it was a really rough time for me. I was still in the midst of a nasty separation. I was, still waiting on paychecks to come in because I just started my own company,
mm-hmm,
and I was $10 short for the
mm-hmm,
bill. And I was like, you know what? The grapes are really expensive. The grapes were $10. And
mm,
my kids love grapes. And I was like, you know what? And I looked at the kids and I said, you know what, guys, we can come back next week when mom gets paid and I'll pick it up. And the lady behind the counter said, it's just $10. I got it. Don't worry about it.
mm,
And I was like, you don't need to do that. And I'm like, I'll be fine. And then she's like, no,
mm,
no. She's like, let me do this for you. And I
mm,
remember I went back the minute I had it. Like it was like not even a week later. And I walked in the store and I went to go hand her $10. And I said, I really
mm,
want to thank you. And she said, no, I
mm,
did that for you because I saw in you that this was not something that was the norm and that you were prepared to sacrifice something. And she
mm,
said, and I wasn't going to allow that from a mother to a mother. And
mm,
she said, pay it forward. And I did.
mm.
I did. I've been
Wow.
paying it forward for a long time. Every time, like if I go through the drive-throughs, I'll like, whether it's like Tim Hortons or Starbucks, every once in a while, I'll catch like a car behind me or two cars behind me, make their day
Hmm.
a little bit brighter. Cause that's how nice is that to like get to the window and be like, oh no, the person paid for you.
Yeah.
Cause I've had
Yeah.
that where I've like driven up in there and I'm like, and I'll hold my card out or I'll hold my phone out so they can scan my app. And they're like, no, they're like person in front of you paid. And I remember one
Yeah.
time someone did that and I was like, it's double stars today.
You're
I'm like,
creating
I'll
a
pay for the
chain.
two guys behind me.
No, but it's
Like,
beautiful. Stories like that make me so happy, because there are lots of things we can do to just make a difference in people's lives, right? Very, very little things. It doesn't have to be big things. And it's interesting because for someone like you, someone like me, just talking about that story, I still remember going to the gas station and buying $10 of gas, and that was because of that's all I had, right?
Mhm.
And $10 of gas. Okay, I'm going to need to drive there and wait for the next paycheck. There are many people going through that. And if you've been through that, you know how difficult it is. You know
Yep,
how painful it is. So when you see somebody else and you have the opportunity to make a difference for them, you really know how far it goes because
that's
of
right.
you know how painful it can be. And that is
Absolutely.
all about goodness. I think that, if we're just being kind to, I've always told people that if you look life, through the lens of love, life is beautiful, right? You're going to see where people are coming from. You're going to see that, maybe just they weren't able to purchase something for their loved ones because of they didn't have the funds, or people are going through, like, every time, if you all look through the lens of love, we're going to see so many. Life just becomes beautiful. Then you're more approachable. You're able to understand people better. You have more empathy. You
Yeah.
have more empathy, as regards what people are going through.
Mhm.
That story you just told me, like, it's thank you for sharing that. Like, I'm thinking, like, today I'm gonna do something, like, I'm gonna go to, like, Tim Hortons and just, like, check somebody and say, can I pay for that person? I promise.
I love that. But you know what, Dennis? At the same time, you do a lot of volunteer work.
Yeah.
And that is paying it forward. I do a lot of volunteer work, but I agree with
Hmm.
you. When you get the little moments where you can go in and just cover someone's coffee or give them
Mm-hmm.
the extra $10. Or even there's times where I've seen,
Mm,
people come to the gas station like yourself, who are like, they're standing there and they just look completely defeated. And I'll walk over and be like, is everything okay? And they're like, yeah, it's gas prices are high. And, I got to
mm-hmm.
like figure out what I'm going to buy today. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what do you mean? And I'm like, and I'll stop them from pumping gas and I'll say, well, what are you talking about? Tell me about it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I'm a stranger. So at the end of the day, no harm, no
Yeah.
foul. You're not losing. I'm like, but I am genuinely interested to hear your story. What's going on? And they'll give me
Yeah.
some will elaborate and some will give me a bit of a synopsis and they'll say, and I'll introduce myself to them and they'll say, well, I have $40 in my account and I really wanted to, get these few items from the grocery store, but everything's
Mm-hmm.
gone up and, I need to get to work in order to make sure. So if I'm going to eat next week, I need to make sure
Yeah.
that there's gas in my car. And I'm like, cool, I got it.
Yeah.
And they're
Wow.
like, what? And I will, and a lot, like I've done that a few times at Costco because I have the Costco MasterCard and I'll just tap
Mm,
it and be like, done, fill
mm,
your car up.
mm. Yeah.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Goodness
And
always
they're,
pays. Yeah.
well, that's it. And and the thing is that I've been there, not once, not twice, many times I have been there
Mm-hmm.
where I don't have enough. And
Mm-hmm.
someone has either come and helped me or I've had to go without, and that's okay. But when you
Yeah.
have felt that pain where you've had to, remove things from your everyday life, I don't ever get upset about it. I'm like, oh, like I
Mm,
remember a time where I had to remove a whole bunch of things. This is something that goes on with people all in all walks of life, in all
yeah.
industries, where whether you lose your job or you have to get demoted or you get laid off or whatever, and you have to start finding ways to get creative of what money you have or what money
Yeah.
might be coming in, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, do I need Netflix? Do I need all of these extra things? No, I
Yeah.
can just have one. I don't need all of them. Or I can just watch YouTube. YouTube's free.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you
That's true.
find ways, but then where I find the blessing in it is when you're okay to let those things go,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you'll get them back at some other time, not
Mm-hmm.
allowing it to define who you are in that moment. Just saying, you know
No.
what? It's just a bump.
Yeah.
And
It's just a
one
bump.
day I'll have it back. And maybe one day I won't because I'll realize I don't need it.
Very, very true.
Yep.
Growing up, we were told that you run away from the fight today so that you live to fight tomorrow, right? And I like the point you've raised, realizing that our life is not dependent on all of this, this position, that all of that. That's not what our life is dependent on. And knowing that without all of these things, we're still going to survive, we're still going to move on, and life would evolve itself in a different way. And just being joyful, and I know, and many times it ain't easy. I know it's not easy to let those things go, to let that position go, to let that person go. No, like, I know it's not easy, but I think if we look at life beyond that, even when you have these things, you look at life beyond that. Your life does not consist of it. It also gives you that heart, that preparation. When these things are not there, you're just able to say, you know what? I'll let it go. This is my situation today. Tomorrow is gonna be better. Tomorrow I'm gonna pick up. So it's something I tell everybody, just like, what are your values for life? Like,
Mhm.
if your values are dependent on material things, on positions, on names and all of those sort of things, it will affect you. But if your values are based on those things of love, on kindness, generosity, being humble, those things are things that will take you through thick and thin. Those things will be there to help you. Those things will be there to live. So I really, really, what you just said really, really resonates with me, because it's something that I really, really believe in.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really cool. Thanks for saying that as well.
Well, you're welcome. Well, thank you for
Yeah,
saying what you did. Now,
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to ask you a question because I know that you still work in the immigration space, do you not?
Yeah, so I volunteer with different groups there, but my main job, I work with the Business Development Bank of Canada, and my
Okay.
role is supporting an inclusive entrepreneurship. So basically, supporting women entrepreneurs, supporting newcomers, supporting Black entrepreneurs, and also supporting Indigenous entrepreneurs. The indigenous entrepreneurs continue to grow rapidly in our country,
Mhm.
and we realized that an inclusive economy is an economy for everyone.
Mhm.
Canada, the future for Canada is having an inclusive economy. So my role is basically helping with that in the prairies here to see that we break those barriers that are affecting either women or indigenous people or black people or newcomers, whoever they are, from
Mhm.
accessing finance to become entrepreneurs. So just
Mhm.
breaking those barriers. So that's my I would say my 9 to 5 work.
That's amazing. I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
that there is moments where your microphone gets really loud and some where it gets really low.
Oh yeah, I think maybe because of it goes in my mouth that distance. So maybe I'll put it this way. Is
Well,
it better?
I rather it a little bit louder than lower, though, just so you know.
Okay. 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 Cool. Cool.
We
Cool.
want to
Love it.
hear all the wonderful things you're saying, Dennis. We can't, you know
Oh.
what I mean?
Beautiful.
So I'll
Good.
tell you why I'm asking you because I saw
Mm-hmm.
something today and I was
Mm,
very disappointed in
mm,
some of the Albertans. I was very disappointed. And what I saw was, and I want to ask your opinion if you have one,
mm-hmm.
whether professional or personal. It's up to you how you would like to respond to it. But here's
Mm-hmm.
my question to you. I saw a clip where they have this, I don't know what's it called? It's like the panel, the next panel, Alberta
Mm.
next panel. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay. So they were in Red Deer and they had a session and somebody was I'm very candid on my show because it's uncensored. Somebody was whining about the fact that there's too many immigrants and they're real upset about it. And
Yeah.
this person on the panel who's an immigrant responded. Now, not the way I thought.
Mm,
I mean, I'm a first gen for my dad. My dad's Caribbean from Guyana. My mom is
mm-hmm.
here and was born here in Canada. And
Mm-hmm.
she's got a long lineage on her side. Okay. So for me, listening to someone who is an immigrant to Canada basically respond with, I agree with you. They're going to take, the immigrants are coming in. They're going to take away from all the jobs for our people. And I'm like, that's the wrong thing to say.
Mm,
I think people, regardless of where you're from, can bring different, different aspects, different strengths to not only a community, to a
mm-hmm.
nation, to each other, but to different areas of industry. To me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at skin color. I don't really look too much at gender, sex. I don't really look too much at that. I look at, is it something, are you ready, willing, and capable? Do you have the skill? And, you know, are you happy to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the other part of it. If you're not happy to do something, if you're just doing it to do it and go through the motions, that sucks. But
Mm-hmm.
you know how you can tell when someone really enjoys their job and it just makes everybody's day brighter because they just really love
Mm-hmm.
doing it. It's like my favorite people. I'm like, oh my God, you're like a little ray of sunshine.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm curious because you work in these different spaces, not only helping the indigenous, but also helping other women and whatnot coming in for immigrating over here. And it was interesting because the panelist was a woman that had immigrated into Canada.
Mm,
And I'm gonna say based on, and I shouldn't, but I'm gonna say based on her accent and how she looked, I'm gonna say probably India.
mm,
And I was just very taken back that that was her response, was to agree with this individual. I thought it was in my, I don't know if you've experienced this yourself. I think we all have, where people double down on dumb. Do you know what I mean, Dennis? Like you're sitting there and you're like, oh, good, she's an immigrant. She'll speak up and be like, I disagree. I've came in and I'm now sitting on this panel because I represent part of Alberta and we all have a part to play. And I'm sorry you're feeling that way, but that's not what we're perpetuating here. We want people to come in and, help Alberta remain its same, economic growth. And we want
mm-hmm.
to see things flourish as long as, with families and businesses and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I heard that, so that's why I'm asking you, for someone who's in that space and deals with a lot of these people,
Yeah.
what do you believe that they're maybe where their brain space is? Because you know that they're coming from a different country with a very different view and a very different government, where they're not probably allowed to do a lot of the things that we do.
Mm.
um Do you feel that it may be a bit of an ingrainment of from their past country, or do you believe that this is just kind of like a is in my as I so eloquently put it, a double down on dumb? What would you?
Uh, I didn't see the video, so I can't really comment so much on it.
Okay.
However, what I can say is that Canada has benefited so much from immigration. The
Hmm.
growths we've seen, even think as a province, or even Canada, in the last couple of years, lots of those growths has been due to immigration. Lots of people have immigrated here. They've opened up businesses. They've started businesses. Lots of people have immigrated here. They're doctors. Lots of us have immigrated here. We're all contributing to the national prosperity of Canada. I believe that immigration has gone a long way in helping Canadians.
Agree.
Immigration has gone a long way in providing opportunities for
Hmm.
everyone who was born here and for everyone who has moved here.
Hmm.
So um, I know a couple people will, people have their views on. I know people have their views on different things, and that's those are their views. But however,
Hmm.
when we look at the national statistics, when we look at every, the developments that have happened in Canada, immigration has played a huge role in making
Yeah.
that happen. If you think about the number of jobs that have been created by people who've moved here, those jobs would have not been there if those people were not there. If you think about, like even rural immigration, getting people to go work at certain shops or places in many of these rural communities. Many of those rural communities wouldn't even exist if those
Hmm.
people did not go there to start things, invest, and start doing lots of great things. So, um, I think that people do not see sometimes people do not see the big picture.
Hmm.
People do not see the big picture, and because of that, people will say different things. But based on what I know and based on what I have seen, I know that immigration has played so much for the prosperity of Canada. You know how someone always says that we're all immigrants in this country. If you think about it, we're all
Yeah.
immigrants. We all came from somewhere. The land was not ours. We all somehow immigrated in here. So immigration has done great for Canada, and I'm
Hmm.
glad that in the large picture, in everywhere, people have come to realize that think about people have brought in their different ways of life, the way they see things, and that has made us as a country stronger, has made us as a country more better, right?
Hmm.
As a people, it made us even more better. So that whole diversity, I think, has really helped with the prosperity of Canada and continue to do so in every walks of life, whether in tech, whether in military, whether in defense. Everywhere you see that immigrants are doing great jobs, doing great things to help this country go forward. So that would be my response to it.
That's fair. That's a fair response. That's a very safe response, Dennis.
It is.
Smart man.
Thank
So,
you.
okay. Well, you're welcome. So, tell me about your journey here. So, you said you've only been here for about 10 years. So, where are you coming from? Where did you come from before that if you had a place? Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about the story of Dennis.
Yeah, so I was born in Nigeria. Most of my life I've lived in Nigeria. I come from a family of 13 kids. I was the 13th child. Lived in Nigeria, grew up in Nigeria. We did my first degree in Nigeria, studied geology and mining. Went to the UK, United Kingdom, did my master's there in petroleum geosciences. I worked for Shell and ExxonMobil, where I worked in oil and gas, so do more of production, development, and exploration. I did a couple of projects everywhere, so it was a great career. Then in 2014, I landed Canada. I applied for the special skill. There was the immigration path to Canada, to work here as a geologist. So that's why I moved here. But 2014 couldn't get a role, still kept my job. 2016, moved here fully, I think December 2016. And since 2017, I've been in banking, in Canada. But I'm still gonna repeat it again. Canada has been a blessing for me, and I am doing everything I can to be a blessing for Canada. I want to do my best. It's given me so much. It's given me joy. It's given me happiness. It's given me prosperity, and that's all I want to do. I want to make sure that the future generations that come after me also enjoy that. I want to give my part to continue to make this country a great one. So yeah, that's been my 10 years living here in Canada. So since I came, I've been banking. I've left what I used to do before I came here, which was geosciences. And I've been in banking. I've really enjoyed it. And I tell people, like, one of the reasons that I enjoyed, because my mom was an entrepreneur. So I knew the pains of entrepreneurship, not for someone not having supports, not being able to have somebody to support them. The system does not support and all of that, and struggle through. And so living all through that life and coming to Canada and having the opportunity to now support others, try to help them provide information, try to provide, help them break barriers, is something that gives me joy, gives me
Hmm.
so much happiness, because I know how painful it is when you don't have the supports that you
Yes.
need. I know how painful it is when you don't have the supports that you need to grow your business. So being able to help entrepreneurs in that way to the best of my ability gives me so much joy. Yeah. So that's my little story here in Canada.
I love it. I love it because
Yeah. Mm.
entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. And I tell people that, and I
Mm-mm.
tell people about supports and making sure you have good support systems in
Mm-hmm.
any venture that you choose to take,
Yeah.
regardless of whether it's entrepreneurial or not.
Mm.
Everybody needs a support system somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's just being a sounding board or like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny because if you had a chance to listen to some of the podcasts that I did before, so I do speak with some of my neighbors.
Yeah.
Some of them come on because they're part of the trades group.
Yeah.
And one of the things we talk about is how much of a community we are, which is it's not very much heard of. But when
Mm-hmm.
I was growing up as a kid, my parents created that. So my parents originally had me in Quebec. That's where I was originally born. And then we
Mm-hmm.
moved to Alberta when I was a babe. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've been here pretty much my whole life. I was raised in Alberta. And so, but my family always had neighbors that they could like run around and rely on. I could always run to my next door neighbor and ask for
Mm-hmm.
this or ask for that. Or if my
Mm-hmm.
parents weren't home, I could go to their house. Like it was never really a concern. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like everybody was
Yeah.
pretty much a community, like in the 80s and
Yeah.
90s. And like
Mm-hmm.
I hear, and then now, like it's funny, like I'll tell people, I'm like, oh yeah, me and my neighbors, we have barbecues. Like we're actually having a pig roast like in a few weeks. Like, like
Please invite me.
I'll send you an invitation. You want to come? There's a whole
Okay.
bunch of us coming. It's gonna be awesome. They're smoking a huge, they're smoking a huge pig, and there's like
Wow.
everyone's bringing something, and it's like we're talking like not just the neighbors, but like friends
Mm,
of the neighbors and friends of friends and family, and it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be like a block
mm,
party. I'll
wow.
absolutely invite you. You can come to that. That'd be super fun.
Oh my
And
God.
but that's what we do. We all just get together. We have potlucks. We celebrate birthdays,
Mm,
milestones. If when COVID happened, we called each other, we're going to the store. Who needs what? We're going. If
mhm,
someone's sick, let me drop this off for you. Let me drop that off for you. If someone, has to work during the day, but their kid's sick, well, then we send over our other kids to help watch them, or we come over
mhm,
and help watch them. And to me, that's what life is supposed to be about. It doesn't matter what
mhm,
industry you work in. I mean, it helps a lot when you have a spouse that's away all the time, like my buddy Greg, who's a trucker, or even if dad comes home every day, but he's gone for a long period of time, and then
mhm,
mom's at work, and then they both need some support. They both need some
mhm,
downtime, and I'm like, oh my god, call me and go for a date. Like I don't care. I live on my own with my kids, right? So to me,
mhm.
it's like every day is a holiday.
Oh my God. Like talking about it, just, you were talking and just reminds me of growing up, right? I grew up in Nigeria. Um, so where we lived was called a compound. That's what we called it,
Yep.
compound, right?
Mhm.
So it's a compound because of it's like U-shaped, and maybe they were like, I would say, let's think about it. They're like maybe 15, 20 rooms, and maybe
Mhm.
each family had two rooms. right? So I had 2 rooms, or sometimes maybe you find somebody single, they have 1 room. And we grew up where there was power supply was always erratic, right? So there
Mhm.
was most times there was no power, and we would all come to the middle of the what we call our compound, which is like an open space, and we would sit down there at night. We will share stories, like under the moonlight, talk about stories, did this. People were sleeping on mats on the floor because of there was no power. It was hot inside the house. But that was community, right? It
Mhm.
was community around there. I still remember that you want to eat in your house, there are no spoons, there are no plates. My mom would say, can you go to we had this family friends named Chigos. They were like, can you go to Chigos' house and get our plates? We will go into their house and start looking for our plates, our
Mhm.
spoons, and you take that to your house. They will come to our house to check for their things. But that was how I grew up.
Mhm.
I grew up in community. I know the importance of community. And growing up in those spaces where, there was poverty, there was people who had the need of many things. How the only way people survived was everybody supporting one another. Oh, I don't have salt to cook today. Can you go to the next door?
Yeah.
And they're going to give you salt. They're going to give you pepper. They're going to give you this, to help you cook so that you could have a meal in your house. That was how I grew up. That was how I saw life. And you know what, Lisa? That is how I still see life. Because
Mhm.
everywhere I go, I still want to talk about community because I know how important. If not for community, there are many of us that will not live up to today. There are many of us that we will not see today. And it's so
Mhm.
easy to think that, well, that was Nigeria, this is Canada, and all of that.
Mhm.
But I've come to realize that the fundamentals of love and kindness and peace are the same wherever you are, irrespective of the level of development or irrespective of whether you have power or not. Those fundamentals still remain the same. Community is key, whether it is at work, whether it is at your personal life, whether it is at everything you do. Community is important, and I always tell people, I'm glad you do that on the trade side. That be tied to community. It will help you. It will take you a
Mhm.
long way. You're not alone. People are working for you. People are looking out for you.
Yeah.
So it's something that I'm very, very passionate about. I'm always very passionate about community. So I can keep talking about community forever.
But we're both right, you know
Mm,
what I mean?
mm,
But
mm.
I think my point is that when I
Yeah.
talk to people about that, and even like when I was on my podcast with John, he was like, it was something wild to me that you guys were all so close knit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, and now you've been kind of amalgamated in because he bought a house a few doors down from me, and
Yeah.
he ended up moving right beside the perfect person because they just get along like peas and carrots, you know. But I mean, we are all a community, and I mean, like, if they need something, I'm there. And the biggest thing for me is I'm like you, very much an advocate for people, but more so women and children. So
Mm-hmm.
I always tell the neighbors, because the all their little girls, they all just love me, and they're always like, "Oh, Lisa, Lisa," and they're so cute, and I just adore them. And I had one friend of mine. They were like, how come you let the little ones get so close to you? And I said, because if they ever need somewhere to run, they know where to run.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
something ever went wrong, they know they could come to my door and I would happily answer it for them. They're not
Mm-hmm.
scared to come to my door. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, and I would hope that they would feel safe enough to come to me. So by me being, you know, very present and very kind to them, it gives
Mm-hmm.
them an opportunity that if they were in a moment of despair and who can I call or where can I run, it's to
Yeah.
me because
Yeah.
I will make sure their family knows. I will do, I will go through all of the different, all of the different things I need to go through to make sure that not only are they safe, that they feel safe, that they have what they need, or that the person that they're worried about has what they need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
that's a big thing for me because it's same for my kids. I want my kids to feel that sense of community. They know, I mean, every kid has their favorite neighbor that they like.
Hang out.
And
Yeah.
right. I mean, 'cause it's just one they get along with better than the other. And so I know my kids, there's two of the neighbors that my daughter will run to no matter what. One neighbor, my son would probably run to no matter what, more so than the other. And that's just part of it. But I know that with me, because I my kids are the oldest. The neighbors
Mm-hmm.
right next to us, they have a daughter that's right in between my two.
Mm.
She's a sweetheart, and it's
Wow.
fun to watch these kids grow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember when
Yeah.
I first moved in, and I'm just looking at like my friend's daughter next door, and I'm like, I remember you're just a little sweet pea. You know what I mean? Now she's a teenager, and I'm just like, oh goodness.
Oh my
So
God.
it's fun to watch everybody grow, right? And then all of
Mm-hmm.
us, and then how we shift and move in our jobs,
Mm-hmm.
promotions, and change jobs or whatever. And it's fun to be there and get to watch and be a part of everybody's journey.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I love it. And so that's why I always like, it was one of the biggest things that why I really wanted you to come on. Cause everyone, in my brain, I'm like, people are going to be like, why did you have Dennis come on? He's not part of the trades. But I'm like, nobody's part of entrepreneurial, and he's very big on community. Dennis,
Yeah.
the impact you make on social media based on not just getting yourself recognized, but being a part of all those different venues, being
Oh,
invited to all those venues tells me that you are someone who wants to genuinely make a difference, to show up and to be a part of it. And that
oh.
is a big thing, because those are the steps that everybody has to take in order to understand. If you want support and you want to feel supported, show up.
Mm.
Show up for
It,
yourself
yeah,
and show up
yeah.
for the others, right?
True, true. I
Yeah,
agree with you. I agree with you. And and just like I said earlier, I just want to be a positive influence um for co- for my community, for the community, because it's given me so much. And as I deal with entrepreneurs every day, and whether they're newcomers and all that, I find that we're all related in one way or the other, right?
100%.
I would go for a tech event. I said, "Are you a tech guy?" I was like, well, I don't know. It depends on what your definition of the tech guy is.
Mm-hmm.
I help provide financing for tech people, so for them to be able to get their innovation going. So yeah, that makes me a tech guy. I hang around the trade people. They're like, "Are you a trades guy?" I was like, "Yeah, I might not know, I might not be a carpenter, I might not be a plumber, but however, I help those people grow their businesses. So am I a trade guy? I'm a trade guy, right? So it's all about finding where your relevance in those spaces and
Mm-hmm.
realizing that showing up makes a huge difference in those spaces. My mom told me something, and I would always, if you listen to many of the podcasts, I'm always talking about my mom. My mom always told me to said that, remember, try doing a party and nobody shows up. How do you feel? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's the point. You're like, oh my god, everything is going to go bad. I'm going to start sharing it for all the neighbors or anybody walking on the way because nobody showed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's tells you how important showing up is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Showing up for your community and contributing in the best way you can. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
your role is to hold the gates, and when people come through, smile, give them the best smile ever. That when they walk through, they're going to ask, who's that person at the gates? That person made me feel so welcome, right? So sometimes I think sometimes people, we fail to see that showing up, we all have a bit to contribute in this thing called community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about finding that place where you belong. And for me, I found that for me, it's about serving. For me, it's about connecting. For me, it's
Mm-hmm.
about, creating that community. And I find that, doing those sort of things, I find myself relevant in every place. I've been in spaces they're talking about stuff I have no idea. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what are they even talking about? But there comes to a point where I come relevant, where they're like, hey, tell me more about this. Who can I talk to about this? How can, I need help in this area. So I get to be, I get showing up, coming back to it, showing up is huge.
Yeah.
Showing up in spaces, showing up in community, be relevant. Showing up is always something I will tell everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you're also supporting that. I'm glad that you're also promoting that. So let people to know, just show up. Don't be alone. Don't do it alone. There's this thing we used to say. We used to say, iron sharpens iron. Like when the two hands hold together, it becomes a little bit stronger.
Yep.
That's the way and Lisa, that's the way I see life. And I'm so blessed. People ask me one other thing. People ask me again is like, by doing that, don't you get bonds? Like if you're kind to people, you're gonna get bonds and all that. I was like, yeah, there are gonna be people who will fail you. There are gonna be people who will say you don't belong there. Different conversations and all that. But you know what, Lisa? I don't focus on them. I focus on the remaining 99 that welcome me.
Yep.
I focus on the 99 that, the things I did for them took them to the next level. Because if you keep focusing on that one failure, you're going to miss 99 people that you can be a blessing to their lives. Right. So showing up is important. I'm going to
Yes.
advise everybody, anyone listening, showing up is important. Go there, give your best, contribute your best, and make a difference.
Agreed. Now, with
Mm,
that being said, the only disclaimer I would ever give people
mm,
is
mm.
conserve your energy to the things that make sense.
That's true. 100%.
So, because I did that, I
Mm,
showed up to everything. I was the
mm.
planner, Dennis. I did it all. I coordinated it. I showed up to it. I planned it, and I did a great job. And I made a lot of contacts.
Mm,
None that I could profit from in any way, shape, or form because they weren't in my niche or in my industry.
mm-hmm,
But it's the feeling that you get when you're someone who enjoys community and bringing people together. It's a
mm-hmm,
different type of high. At that point, you're filling your cup in a different way, right?
mm-hmm,
So I
mm-hmm,
wasn't helping fill my financial cup that needs to support my family, but I was
mm,
filling another cup that was also giving me empowerment in myself. But
mm-hmm,
then what ended up happening is I ended up doing it way too much and organizing way too many things where I started to burn out, and then I wasn't being more select. So now I'm more selective. I'm very hyper focused on my industry.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I hyper focus on my industry, but I still get to have the impact, right? Where I'm
Yeah,
volunteering and I'm
yeah,
showing up to different networking events and I'm paying for these networking events and I'm
mm,
sponsoring networking events and
yeah,
I'm happy to do it, but I'm showing up to them as well because to me,
mm-hmm,
it's not just sponsoring and then run away. It's sponsor
mm-hmm,
and then be present at that time. Because if you felt that it was worthy enough of accepting the money, then you
yeah.
should be there,
Yeah, yeah. I,
right?
I call I call it growth, right? I
You
call
call
it
it what?
growth. I call it growth. It's
Mhm.
growth, right? Because you started at a point and you've grown,
Yep.
right? You've grown to say, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. This is where I'm relevant. This is what is
Yep.
important for me. So it's all about growth as you grow. But first of all, until you know, you don't know,
Mhm.
right? Like
True.
if you don't show up, or if you don't show up at the spaces, you don't know what you like and not like, where you're
Yep.
relevant and not relevant, where you can contribute and not contribute. So but as you grow in that journey, things will change. There are places you're gonna like, well, this is no longer for me, I'm not going to be doing that. Is a growth thing. And certain times people don't want to start but want to grow.
Yep.
And I'm like,
True.
well, no, you need to start, then you grow. It's a
That's right.
process, right? Because if you don't do that, there are lots of relationship, there are lots of learnings, there are lots of experiences, there are lots of those things you're going to miss,
Yep.
right? So it's
100%.
all, and it's all about like, I would say, my mom said, if you don't begin, you can't become, right? You begin and you become. You start and you grow. So show up, learn, and grow. Yeah.
So I'm going to say something to you. I'm going to tell you that I love that you have all of these little references from your mom.
Oh, she
It
was she
tells
was a,
me
she was a
it tells me a
superwoman.
lot. Any person who has had either a good relationship with their mother, or a woman who is a good mother herself, um, will tell you that when a male has such respect and love for his mother, that all of the little things that she taught him along the way stay with him, and
Mm,
he regurgitates them to keep her words alive
mm,
and in the moment.
yeah.
Your mother is very relevant in this podcast
Mm,
because of you and
oh,
because of the things that she taught you. So for me, I look at that and I think, how wonderful that you had such an impactful mother, that
mm,
she is always on your mind and her
mm.
wisdom is always just on your lips. And to me, that's a beautiful thing. I hope my son's like my mama told me.
I'm
That's
sure they
goals,
will.
Dennis.
No, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. And my mom passed. She passed 2011. She was
I'm
82 when she
sorry.
passed. She had me when she was 53. But I remember growing up with my mom and learning. She never went to school. My mom never went to school, never had to do it. She was somewhat one woman, who just, lived life, had many marriages that didn't work, many of it, So she got married when she was 15. That was her first husband. There were so many things in her time, and
Mhm.
as like I really missed that when she passed, but I found that in my life there were many things I was doing was a reflection of my mom. The kindness was a reflection of my mom. The community was a reflection of my mom. Then one day I realized that she was not actually dead. She was actually living inside of me.
That's right.
I was being that person. I'm that person, showing, those. So each time people I was like, yeah, it was my mom. My mom taught me how to do that. My mom showed me how to do that. So, um, why I'm talking about this is that sometimes too, people always look at, but what can I offer? I don't have this. I'm not educated. I'm not like them. I'm not this. I'm not that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I just want to say that every time you have something, you have a seed to plant, whether it's going to be the children you have or the people around you, but there's going to be somebody you can basically, affect their life positively, and they will go ahead and become your feet. They will become your mouth. They will go ahead and become that light that you bring. And that has really. I'm speaking here in Canada. My mom never left Nigeria. She
Hmm.
never even traveled.
Hmm.
But people in Canada said there was this woman, like she was never written in a book. She was never referred to. But that's the beauty of planting the right seeds, because of they're going to get to places you will never get to. So, but Lisa, you're a great mom, I can tell.
Well, thank you. And I was thinking about what you said when you were saying, the impacts
Yeah.
that people bring. And then I started to kind of I'm kind of one of those people that just makes jokes in my head all the time, because I'm one of those people that I don't like to take things so seriously. To me, there's moments to be serious, but I'm such a silly character that when you were like, you were making this very profound statement, and in my brain, I'm like, yeah, my producer makes an impact. He brings out the crazy, the
I
voice
see
of
you.
God makes me nuts. Stop talking. I'm just kidding. He's
Oh
probably
dear.
laughing.
Yeah.
So I got to give him a hard time. But I always, and I'm just a very silly character. But there are times, when I go through, I have all the emotions, and I
Hmm.
know that, and no, it's not because I'm female.
Hmm.
Like, but I do. I have all the emotions. I'm emotionally intelligent. I feel things deeply. I know what my character, what my anger style is. I know what all of those things are, but that's because I took time to learn about me.
Hmm.
And the catalyst in that, and I'm going to tell you, if you're a parent, anyone that's a parent, the catalyst in learning about yourself and actually doing something is when you have children, because it forces you to do one of two things:
Hmm.
to be the truly selfless person with a touch of selfishness to
Yeah.
want to change,
Yeah.
or the selfish person with a touch of selflessness that says, I sacrifice everything, I do everything, I'm not doing it anymore. Right?
Mm.
So you got to pick which one you want to be. My children, because of what they went through with my separation's done and over with. I'm in a decent place with their father. I mean, like, we can talk in the same room, and we're fine. But I mean, there's not a lot of love there. That happens. The
Yeah.
love that we have all goes into the children. Now, for me, my kids, because they go see talk doctors, and I had to learn how to hold space. I didn't know how to
Mm.
hold space for my daughter.
Mm.
I didn't know how to hold space for my son. I didn't realize that, the way that I have explosive anger, that I needed to learn how to calm that down, explain to them what emotions I'm going through, why those emotions are triggering me, what words are triggering me, and why. Have those
Mm.
conversations so that it's not just a big erratic blow up, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there and your kids are like, what happened? And then it's like you just carry on and do nothing. It's like you sit down and go, I'm really sorry, and this is how I'm
Mhm.
feeling, and I'm still a human being, and these are the things that are
Yeah.
going on. And it doesn't mean that it makes it right, but I want you to know that has nothing to do with you.
Mm.
I just had a moment, and I was at my limit, and I just blew up. Some people say,
Yeah.
oh, just walk away, and I'm like, we're not all designed like that. We're not all
True.
designed to take a minute, especially when you have kids going, mom, 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 mom.
Mm.
Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Do you know, during like this entire podcast, my son has cracked my door open twice? because it's his way of being
I see
like, go
you.
eat something. You're fine. You got 2 feet and a heartbeat. You're old enough to wipe your butt.
Oh dear, that's so beautiful.
But but it's just being honest with yourself as a parent to
Mm-hmm.
say, I'm not perfect. There is no rule book,
Mm,
but I want this child to grow up to be a good human. They don't have to be
mm-hmm.
great. They don't have to be perfect. That's
Mm-hmm.
on them to establish
Yeah.
whether they're going to be great or perfect. It's not
Yeah.
on you. It's on you to make sure they're a good person. They know how to take care of themselves. They know they are kind, they're respectful, they're tolerant, they're compassionate. They're all
Mm-hmm.
the things that make a good human.
Mm,
And whatever they choose to do with their life, you support it. And you
mm-hmm.
tell them that you're proud. But when they make mistakes, you remind them that there's consequences and you let them sit in it.
Mm,
Because
mm,
too many parents are too quick to just let their kids get away with things, pull them out of really, out of things that have very strong consequences. And I think that that's wrong. I think
true.
as a child, I don't care how old you are, as a person, once you hit the age of 13, when you start making poor choices, if your parents don't rein you in and say, you're going to sit with this is the consequence, and you're going to think about it, and you're going to develop some critical thinking skills and some better problem solving skills so that this doesn't
Mm-hmm.
happen again, and
Yeah.
you don't, you know what I mean? You, like, when you just like, oh, it's okay, you're fine, you're wonderful, you're perfect, don't worry. It's like,
Mm,
you're not helping.
yeah. Yeah.
You're creating some pretty
Mm,
hostile people when they get
yeah.
older.
Yeah.
And I've seen it, right? I mean, I watch it as a parent, so it's hard, but I
Yeah.
I love the beauty that you've brought to this podcast, not just through the words of your mother, but you and all the things that you do. You are very much community. So what you have set out to do, you have succeeded in, and I
I
know you will
appreciate you.
continue to succeed in your community efforts because I see you everywhere and you bring
Oh.
such light to everybody's life. And I love your smile. You have the best smile.
Oh my God. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Every time I see you smile, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a dentist smile. I love it. So, but yeah, but anyways, we're gonna wrap up the podcast. Is there anything else you want to say to the guests, to
Oh
the
no,
listeners?
I love your I just love people who are just real, right? I really love people who are just real, to just say the way it is. Not it comes from a great place. It comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of care, right?
Yeah.
And, as you grow older, as I've grown older, learning to understand people better and
Mhm.
just like you say, hold space for people, right? And I think that those are things sometimes as when we're young, we don't know, like we don't have an understanding of it. Like, oh, I'm just going to lose it. Well, as you grow older, the things you get to understand, the things you get to see, right? And so just you talking, I'm just listening. I was like, wow, that's amazing. This is somebody beautiful. This is someone with a beautiful
Thank
heart.
you.
So thanks, you're great, great, like we're all the beautiful thing about this is that we're all building community in our own way. You're building community in your own way. I'm building community in my own way. The things you say, the things how bold you are might not be that bold, but I'm maybe certain things I was like, yeah, let's send Lisa. Lisa will be the one to talk for us, right? But I find that together we create a beautiful community. And if there's anyone listening, I will say, hey, you don't have to do it like Lisa. You don't have to do it like Dennis. Just do it your own way. There is a
That's right.
way that you're authentic, you're genuine, and
Mhm.
we can all contribute to a great place. I'm gonna say again that I've lived where, like I call Canada is my home now. I've lived in places I've seen. This place is one of the best places in the world. And I tell people, and people as like, this place is one of the best places in the world,
I
right?
think so.
So if you go through many people's experiences, you realize that, oh my God, we're in heaven. This is heaven, right? And you know, it's easy for you to live in heaven and not say, well, I don't care about it. Somebody did the groundwork to make it look the way it is. And it is our responsibility to make it even look better for the many more people, for our children,
I agree.
for our children that are going to come, for the people that are going to be around here. There's a lot of work. So for anyone listening, ask yourself, what am I doing? And one last thing again, I know my mom didn't say this, but she told me. She said, always. I think I think I checked it up. I think somebody said that. Maybe somebody in the U.S. said this. That don't think about what your country can do for you. Think about what you can do for your country. I'm just saying that as we go out today, think about, I'm going to, first of all, Lisa's giving me a challenge. I'm going to Tim Hortons. I'm just going to be this guy with his red glasses looking for somebody to be good for. But that's because if you've challenged me to be kind, let us, all of us go out there and challenge others to be kind, challenge others to make a difference, challenge others to build a community, and do it in your own way. So thank you so much for all you do, Lisa. I appreciate you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your podcast. I'm sure that after our podcast, maybe we need to go for coffee too.
Oh, we're going to set up a meeting right after this. Don't you
Uh,
worry. Because don't
yes,
forget, we met already once before. We've been to
I
the
know.
same networking event.
I
Yeah.
know.
And I remember I wanted to wait by my truck and be like, I need to grab him and have a conversation with him. He's
Yeah.
got so much wonderful light and energy on him that I just need to, I need to know this person. But then you were talking with Jen. So I was like, I got to go.
I gotta.
I'm
We're
like,
gonna do.
it'll circle back around when it's supposed to. Everything
Yeah.
happens when it's supposed to happen,
Yeah. Yeah. No.
you
Let's
know?
let's let's repeat. We need to do the repeats.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay,
Oh,
so hang tight with me and we'll wrap up this wonderful podcast of ours. Thank you again for coming on the show. You are a beautiful
appreciate
person.
you.
I appreciate you. And
Appreciate you.
as always, I will see the rest of you in the next, or well, you will hear me anyways in the next Wednesday. So as always, have a great week, be wonderful, and don't do anything crazy.
I once.